you become a person that can be close to Puff, man, you made it, is what you thinking.
Okay.
You never thinking these problems is going to happen, but when he pull his dick out,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You better suck it.
So if it's not just you better suck it, it's you better fuck it and suck it.
When it comes to Hollywood's messy underbelly, Orlando Brown is one of those names that always pops up with some wild story. The man's unpredictable, yeah, but sometimes the crazy ones be telling the truth. And now, he's pointing his spotlight straight at Diddy, and the stuff he's claiming is next level. According to Orlando, what the feds found when they raided Diddy's properties wasn't just the usual luxury items. Nah, he says they found evidence of freak-offs so intense that people left with more than memories. We talking STDs, and he ain't being vague either. He's naming names. Orlando says Diddy's legendary private parties weren't just about champagne and music. They were full-blown anything-goes events where celebrities, models, and even other men in the industry hooked up unprotected. No discretion, no limits. His most shocking claim? That there were over 1,000 bottles of baby oil found during the raids. Think about that for a second. That ain't for massages, that's an operation. And here's where it gets messy. Orlando claims big names in the game were caught up in these sessions. He drops names like Usher, Meek Mill, Will Smith, White K. Osiris, and French Montana, painting a picture of an underground network where the lines between friendship, business, and pleasure didn't exist. He even alleges that some of these encounters went down without anyone getting tested beforehand, and that's where the STD rumors start getting heavy. According to him, people walked out of those mansions not just with NDAs, but with herpes, HIV, and other permanent reminders. Now, people are split on Orlando. Some think he's just clout chasing. Others believe he's one of the only ones reckless enough to say out loud what's been whispered in Hollywood for years. And whether you believe him or not, the timing is crazy. The feds are already breathing down Diddy's neck with trafficking allegations, NDAs, and that freak-off culture being put under a microscope. Add in Orlando's claims, and suddenly every name linked to Puff in the last 20 years is getting side-eyed. Online, the reaction has been wild. Some fans are shocked. Others are like, man, we've been hearing these rumors since the Bad Boy days. And the memes, out of control. People are tagging the celebs Orlando mentioned, asking if they've been to Club Baby Oil. And Orlando's not stopping at just listing names. He says some of these alleged encounters were filmed. That's right, recorded. According to him, Diddy keeps tapes as leverage. If you ever turn on him, he's got receipts. The Usher connection is especially messy because it's not the first time his name's been tied to an STD scandal. Court docs from past lawsuits have already painted him in a bad light. Orlando's just pouring gasoline on that fire. Then there's Kim Porter. Orlando repeats an old rumor that Kim, Diddy's ex and mother of his children, was HIV positive before her death, and that her passing was more complicated than people think. That's the kind of claim that makes even the most reckless gossipers pause. But Orlando, he says it with his chest. The way he frames it, this ain't just about Diddy being freaky. It's about a dangerous culture where the powerful feel untouchable, even when they're playing with people's lives. And if what Orlando's saying has even a kernel of truth, it's not just a scandal, it's a health crisis hiding in plain sight. And here's the kicker. If tapes really exist, the fallout could be nuclear. Not just for Diddy, but for every single person who stepped foot in those parties. In the court of public opinion, even being in the same room would be enough to stain your name forever.
Will Smith getting the Will Smith. You ain't heard the Will Smith footage?
Yeah, I heard about
Will
it.
Smith. You got the Carl Winslow.
Once Orlando Brown started naming names, it was like he dropped a bomb in the middle of Hollywood. Each name he mentioned came with its own baggage, and the internet wasted no time digging into old headlines, court docs, and shady stories. Let's start with Usher. His connection to Diddy goes way back, all the way to when Usher was a teenager living in Puff's mansion during the Bad Boy glory days. The two have been photographed together for decades, but the old stories about what went down in those early years have always been suspicious. Orlando's allegations hit different because Usher's already faced multiple lawsuits over herpes transmission. Some cases were settled quietly, others splashed across gossip blogs. Orlando, bringing his name up now, just rips the scab off an old wound. Then there's Meek Mill. Meek's image in recent years has been shaky. He's been spotted multiple times hanging with Diddy on yachts, at private island parties, and even in those no phone allowed sections at events. Orlando claims Meek wasn't just a guest, he was a regular. If the freak-off stories are true, and Meek's name keeps coming up, it's going to be hard for him to shake that association, especially since he's had his own history of rumors about his personal life getting a little too close to certain industry figures. Next up, Will Smith. This is where things get real messy, because Will's been the subject of open marriage speculation for years. From the infamous entanglement era to multiple sources claiming he's had relationships with men in Hollywood, his name's always buzzing in certain conversations. Orlando tossing him in the mix with Diddy's alleged parties feeds right into the narrative that Will's private life is a lot wilder than the polished family image he tried to maintain for decades. And you already know, Will's slap at the Oscars made him a permanent social media target. This just adds fuel. YK Osiris is another one Orlando dragged in, and this one actually lines up with recent gossip. YK's been floating around industry circles without a real hit song in years, but somehow he's always at big events, taking private trips and chilling with the A-list. He's been clowned online for awkward moments with female artists and rumors about his sexuality. So Orlando throwing his name into Diddy's freak-off crew makes him look like he's been trying to secure his spot in the industry by any means. And finally, French Montana. Out of everyone, French might be the most believable to the public just because he's been publicly close to Diddy for years. Vacations, Miami parties, studio sessions, they've been side by side through it all. French has that life of the party energy, and people already assume he's into wild nights. Orlando hinting that French was deep in the mix during these parties didn't shock as much as it just made people go, yeah, sounds about right. What makes these allegations dangerous is the timing. The feds are allegedly looking through Diddy's electronics, NDAs, and security footage. If any of these celebrity names are connected to documented events, even if they weren't doing anything illegal, just being there could wreck their public image. In today's cancel culture, association alone can be fatal to a career, and the internet's been running with it. Old photos and videos are resurfacing. Usher and Diddy in matching outfits, Meek Mill and Puff riding jet skis, French Montana pouring champagne at Diddy's infamous New Year's parties. It's like the whole timeline is trying to connect the dots. For some of these celebs, silence might be the strategy. None of them have publicly addressed Orlando's claims, probably because even denying it draws more attention. But in the court of public opinion, no comment usually means guilty vibes. And here's the kicker. Orlando's claiming this is only part one of what he's going to reveal. If he starts naming more celebrities or dropping alleged proof, it could create a scandal big enough to rival the biggest Hollywood takedowns we've ever seen. The party allegations are messy enough on their own, but the part that's got the internet really talking is the STD angle. Orlando Brown didn't just say people hooked up at Diddy's freak-offs. He said people left with permanent problems, herpes, HIV, and other infections that can't be undone. And when you put that kind of claim next to the celebrity names he dropped, it gets nuclear. For years, whispers have circled about Diddy's health. Nothing concrete ever stuck, but there have been odd patterns, sudden changes in his inner circle, people falling out with him and disappearing from the spotlight, former associates moving far away and going silent. Add in the NDAs he made everyone sign before attending his private events, and you've got a setup that feels like it's protecting more than just privacy. Orlando's claims add a new layer. He alleges that some guests at these events never got tested before participating, and that Diddy never disclosed anything about his own status. If that's true, and someone could prove it, we're talking lawsuits on lawsuits, the kind that could take down an empire. One of the wildest claims floating online is about Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner and mother of his kids. Some people, including Orlando, have hinted that she may have been HIV positive before her death, and that her passing wasn't just about pneumonia like the official report said. That's a dangerous accusation, and while no evidence has confirmed it, the fact that people are even entertaining the idea shows how deep the suspicion runs. Then there's Cassie, who's been in headlines recently after filing her explosive lawsuit against Diddy, alleging abuse and control during their relationship. Orlando claims Cassie was also forced into encounters with escorts, women and men, during Diddy's events, and that some of these situations involve zero protection. If true, that would mean she too could have been at risk of exposure without her consent. And it's not just the women in the conversation. The male celebrities Orlando named, Usher, Meek Mill, YK Osiris, French Montana, and Will Smith, are now facing fan speculation about whether they've been tested, whether they've had health scares, and whether their connections to Diddy put them in danger. Social media is full of posts saying things like, if you were at a Puff party, get checked ASAP. Your fave rapper might be walking around with a Diddy souvenir. That's the power of a health rumor. Once it's out there, it's almost impossible to kill. Even if the person's clean, the stain on their reputation sticks. And the thing is, these kinds of allegations carry more weight now because of how public health is tied to celebrity scandals. Remember the headlines when Charlie Sheen revealed his HIV status? Or the years of whispers around Magic Johnson before his announcement? The second health gets mixed into the conversation, it stops being just gossip. It becomes a public safety conversation. That's why this part of Orlando's claims might be the most dangerous for Diddy. If people start believing there's an unspoken health crisis in Hollywood tied to his parties, then this isn't just a freak-off scandal anymore. It's a potential criminal case. And let's not forget, the feds are already in his business. If they start looking for medical evidence, testing records, or even guest lists from those parties, they could connect dots that no one thought possible. Even if half the claims are false, the investigation alone could expose embarrassing truths for dozens of celebrities. Right now, every star linked to Diddy is playing defense. Some are staying quiet. Others are subtly distancing themselves, unfollowing him on Instagram, not mentioning his name, turning down party invites. The machine is shifting. People don't want to be next in line when the internet starts asking, were you there? If you've been in the game long enough, you know one thing. When a scandal this deep starts to unravel, it never stops at just one person. If the feds or the media get enough proof that even part of Orlando Brown's claims are true, Diddy's downfall could drag half the industry with him. We're talking artists, actors, execs, influencers. Anyone who's been spotted at those parties, flown out on those jets, or locked in those no-phone, high-security events. Even if they didn't do anything illegal, association alone can end careers in this era. And that's what makes this so dangerous for Diddy. His empire isn't just built on music. It's built on connections. Ciroc, Revolt TV, Sean John, movie deals, brand endorsements, all powered by relationships. But when your name becomes toxic, those relationships vanish overnight. We've already seen brands drop artists for far less. The thing about this type of scandal is, it's a domino effect. First, people start unfollowing you publicly. Then, events stop inviting you. Next, collaborators pull back on projects. Eventually, the people who used to call you family start telling reporters they haven't spoken to you in years. That's Hollywood's version of watching someone drown while pretending you don't see them. And if Diddy really kept tapes like Orlando claims, that changes everything, because those tapes wouldn't just be protection, they'd be leverage. If he feels the walls closing in, what's stopping him from taking others down with him? That's how you get the industry in panic mode. Already the whispers are louder than usual. Some celebs tied to him are doing full damage control behind the scenes, calling their PR teams, setting up charity events, posting family content to clean up their image. Others are just staying off the radar completely, hoping to ride this out in silence. But silence ain't gonna work if the receipts go public. And here's the twist. Orlando Brown might actually be the worst kind of problem for people in power. See, if this was a respectable journalist or a carefully calculated expose, Diddy and his team could fight it in court, shut it down, or spin the narrative. But Orlando, he's unpredictable. He says whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He doesn't play by PR rules, and that makes him harder to control. People can laugh at his past outbursts all they want, but that loose cannon vibe means he'll say the names other people won't touch. And the more the industry tries to discredit him, the more some fans think, if they're trying this hard to silence him, maybe he's telling the truth. If Diddy's empire starts cracking, we could be looking at a fall bigger than R. Kelly, bigger than Weinstein. Because unlike them, Diddy's reach isn't limited to one corner of the industry. He's everywhere. Music, TV, business, politics. His collapse wouldn't just be the end of a man, it'd be the end of an entire network of celebrity power. And that's why so many people are nervous. Not because they care about Diddy's reputation, but because if he goes down, he might take them with him. At the end of the day, whether you believe Orlando or not, you can't deny that this storm is building. The raids, the lawsuits, the NDA leaks, it's all adding up. And if the wrong piece of evidence drops, the internet won't just cancel Diddy, they'll burn the whole circle.